Karen's voice was a sledgehammer, smashing through the quiet of my lake house retreat. This dump is an eyesore, and I'm shutting it down, she bellowed, her chins wobbling as she jabbed a manicured finger at my sanctuary. The lake house, my late father's pride, was no mansion, just a cozy cabin nestled among pines, with a dock stretching over glassy water. But to Karen, the HOA's self-appointed dictator, it was a blight on her pristine community. She'd been hounding me for months, citing violations like my unpainted fence or the wildflowers I let grow free. Tonight, she'd crossed a line, bringing 2 lackeys to enforce her vendetta. I'd been watching them from the attic, my security feed flickering on my phone. Karen, in her garish pink blazer, led the charge, her bulk swaying as she stomped up my gravel path. Behind her, 2 HOA officers, Tim, a wiry guy with a clipboard, and Dave, a sweaty man clutching a flashlight, trailed like reluctant dogs. They didn't know I was home. They didn't know I'd spent years as a security contractor, trained to handle worse than entitled busybodies. And they definitely didn't know my cameras were live streaming to a neighborhood chat group, capturing every second of their trespass. It started 6 months ago when I inherited the place. Dad loved this cabin. It was where he taught me to fish, to shoot, to respect the land. But Karen, the HOA president, saw it as a threat to her vision of cookie-cutter perfection. She'd send letters, leave voicemails, even show up unannounced to lecture me about property values. I'd ignored her, thinking she'd tire out. Big mistake. Karen didn't tire. She escalated. Last week, she'd slapped a $500 fine on me for unapproved landscaping. Now, she was here, on my property, claiming the right to inspect my home. You can't just barge in, I muttered to myself, crouched in the attic. My rifle, a gift from Dad, rested against my shoulder. I wasn't planning to use it, not yet, but its weight steadied my nerves. The cameras caught everything: Karen's sneering face, Tim's nervous fidgeting, Dave's futile attempts to look authoritative. The neighborhood chat was blowing up. Is this legal? One neighbor typed. She's gone too far. Another replied. I smirked. Karen's reign of terror was about to crash. Outside, Karen pounded on my door. Open up, or we're coming in. She shrieked, her voice dripping with contempt. This place is a hazard, and I have authority. Tim glanced at Dave, whispering, Does she? I mean, legally. Dave shrugged, clearly regretting his life choices. I tapped my phone, zooming the camera on Karen's face, her smug grin, her eyes gleaming with petty triumph. The chat exploded. She's insane. Call the cops. I held off. This was my show, and Karen was the star of her own downfall. I'd had enough of her bullying. Last month, she'd find Mrs. Carter, a widow, for her grandson's skateboard left on her porch. She'd threatened the Nguyen's with eviction over their vegetable garden. Karen didn't just enforce rules. She wielded them like a tyrant, crushing anyone who dared live differently. But I wasn't Mrs. Carter or the Nguyen's. I'd dealt with warlords in deserts. A suburban despot didn't scare me. I crept downstairs, silent as a ghost. The door rattled as Karen tried the knob. It's locked, Dave said, stating the obvious. Break it, Karen snapped. We're within our rights. Tim hesitated, clutching his clipboard like a shield. Karen, maybe we should. She cut him off. Do it, or you're out of the HOA. Dave, sweating buckets, fumbled with a crowbar. That's when I made my move. I flung the door open, rifle in hand. Not aimed, but visible. "Evening, folks," I said, my voice calm but edged with steel. Karen froze, her mouth a perfect O. Tim dropped his clipboard. Dave's flashlight hit the ground with a clatter. The cameras caught it all, streaming to dozens of neighbors. "You're trespassing," I said. "Care to explain?" Karen recovered fast, her face twisting into a sneer. "You're in violation. This shack is a disgrace. And I'm here to—" I cut her off. "You're on my property. Uninvited. Threatening to break in. That's a crime." I nodded at the camera above the door. "And it's live. Say hi to the neighborhood." Her eyes darted to the camera, then back to me. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across her face. "You can't threaten us," she sputtered. "I'm HOA president." I stepped closer, keeping the rifle low but firm. "And I'm a homeowner, trained to protect what's mine. You've got 10 seconds to leave." Tim was already backing away. "Hands up. I'm just following orders, man." Dave nodded vigorously, tripping over his own feet. Karen, though, doubled down. "You'll regret this," she hissed, jabbing her finger at me. "I'll have you fined, evicted, ruined." Her voice was a shrill crescendo, but it cracked when I raised the rifle slightly, not aiming, just reminding. 5 seconds, I said. The chat was a frenzy now. "She's done. Get her out." Karen's bravado crumbled. She stumbled back, her heels catching on the gravel. "This isn't over," she shrieked. But she was already retreating, dragging Tim and Dave with her. I watched them scramble to their car, Karen's blazer flapping like a warning flag. The cameras caught every step, every curse she muttered. I didn't relax until their taillights vanished. My phone buzzed with notifications, neighbors cheering, demanding Karen's ouster. I exhaled, setting the rifle down. The lake house was quiet again, the lake lapping softly outside. But this wasn't over. Karen would come back, and I'd be ready. The next morning, the neighborhood chat was a wildfire. Someone had clipped the live stream, and it was spreading across local forums. Karen's Meltdown was the unofficial title. By noon, a petition to remove her as HOA president had 200 signatures. "Mrs. Carter called me, her voice trembling with gratitude. "You stood up to her," she said. "No one else did." Then Gwen sent me a basket of tomatoes from their garden. A quiet thank you. Karen didn't go quietly. She posted a rant on the HOA's website, calling me a gun-toting maniac and claiming victimhood. But the evidence was undeniable, her threats, her trespass, all caught on camera. The board called an emergency meeting. By evening, Karen was out, stripped of her title. Rumor had it she was selling her house, unable to face the neighbors she'd terrorized. I sat on my dock that night, Dad's old fishing rod in hand. The lake reflected the stars, calm and unchanging. Karen had thought she could bully her way into my home, my life. She didn't know I was ready, not just with a rifle, but with the truth, broadcast for all to see. Her reign was over, and the neighborhood was free.